Hello there, World of Tankers. I'm Blitz, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing another map positioning segment. Now, as you can see here, I'm currently live in my garage. However, unfortunately, I am not going to be doing live gameplay for this video or the future of this series. Now, the reason for that is because I started thinking about it, and while doing the first couple episodes was a really good idea doing live, because I can tell you guys what's going through my mind as I'm playing the game, I started to come to the realization that, wait a second, I'm about 4 videos in, and I'm already landing on the same maps, and it's live gameplay, so I have to play through that whole game, and then hopefully not land on the same map I've done in another one again. And I've just come up with the idea that, yeah, I'll just play a game, and as soon as I get that game out, I'm going to do a replay on that game and tell you guys what was going through my mind and everything else like that. Pull up Strat Sketch, I'll do the same basic idea, but I'm going to do replays just so I can get different maps for you guys, and that way if you guys have any suggestions on maps, I can really easily do it. So as you can see here, I played my Progetto 65 on Alpenstadt, and this is one of my favorite tier 10 mediums in the game. I don't play it enough lately because I felt that the nerf really hurt the tank on the mobility. When you're climbing up hills, it really does struggle to get up to speed. And while it is a little bit slower, I still think that because it has that clip, it is such a nasty medium tank. So as you can see here, Alpenstadt is definitely one of the tougher maps to run mediums on, and the reason for that being is because there's a lot of spots you can go. Just pausing the replay right now, you can push up to the top part where that brick building is. You can push around past the bridge there on the train and shoot people across, like where Sheridans usually go, and spots like that. You can lob missiles over into Sheridan, but there's a lot of different spots you can go. For me personally, I always push to this bush. In fact, if you're seeing me on the enemy team, chances are I'm probably going to be pushing any medium tank I have in that bush. Now you'll notice there, I didn't shoot at the 62A. The reason for that being, even for the E50M, is because I don't want to get spotted right off the bat. I don't want to get spotted until I know that the enemy team really isn't going to be pushing this way, at least a crazy amount, so I can get away. I also want to get some spotting assistance in there without getting shot back. So I waited until I saw that T92A1, which is thankfully already taken out of the beginning of this game. I noticed, hey, there's a Conqueror coming up behind me, so I'm going to try and tap a couple shells into him. So we've already gotten 2 shells into this Conqueror, 1 more. That's almost 1,200 hit points taken right off of that poor Conqueror, and he's already a one-shot. So that's why I really do like the Progetto. But right now I'm thinking, okay, I need to clear the Conqueror, get back into my position here so I can put my tank back in the hold down spot. Now, of course, the Progetto doesn't really have armor. It's actually got a very troll hull on the upper plate, but overall, the turret has absolutely 0 armor, which is a big weakness for this tank. So I'm always going to try and use this bush. Always utilizing bushes when pulling out is something that's very, very important. As you can see here, when I'm aiming at the C50M, I'm actually going to wait for my second shell to come into this clip because that's maximizing my damage per minute. I could have taken my shot there, still waiting, very tempting, but as long as I wait for that second shell to come in, now I realize, hey, I can tap 2 easy shells right into this guy, then reload a singular shell and finish him off. So, maximizing your damage per minute is always something you want to do in the Progetto. I feel like this is more a review on the Progetto over the map positioning, but you'll notice that this is actually a pretty textbook standard spot for me to run the Progetto. I'm still sitting in the same position as I've done the whole game, even when there's 2 tanks left on the enemy team. I finally realized that. Now I'm pushing in, and unfortunately, I did get slammed pretty hard by that Conway, but again, we are able to punish him a very, very large amount back for what we did receive. So, right now you can notice that just pushing in that bush spot there not only gives you great cover in a medium tank, and I also run tanks like the WZ-111-5A there, I'll run tank destroyers there. I honestly just love to push any tank in that spot because it is such an effective position. So I would definitely suggest, if you guys don't go to that spot, always go there. Now the only weak spot that position has is where you see that 62A being. If the enemy vehicles do end up pushing there, they can outspot you and shoot you if you're trying to go into that position. So that is a weakness on that spot. But honestly, you outspot the enemy as soon as they push in. It's a really, really good spot. Now this 62A got a nice tap right into my vehicle there. It was a great shot from him at the end of this game. But we definitely caused the victory here with 5,578 damage. I was not expecting to come out with such high damage in this game. But a very easy game, as you can tell, as long as the battle works out for you and you're able to hold in a position. That is one thing that looks very well for you. Now, you'll notice that I actually had a lot of patience in this match, and that's something that I always try to stress. I, even myself, have realized that patience is what kills me, because I'll get too aggressive and I'll end up dying, especially in tank destroyers like running a 183. You cannot push in. You have to stay in the back of the map acting like a tank destroyer. Well, that goes the same way for any class. You don't want to over-aggress yourself. So you'll notice I never really wanted to push past that bush there, always wanted to stay behind cover. Even when that Conqueror pushed on me, I always wanted to stay behind cover. I didn't want to push on him, lose any more hit points than I needed to. So that is why I'm always trying to be more patient when I play my games. I feel the more patient I am, the more damage I'm able to output, because while yes, I'm not being aggressive and trying to get that damage out in front line, my enemy team is, which means that they're taking the damage for me, and I'm able to output my damage elsewhere, wait patiently for the damage that comes to me. So that is one major tip that I would definitely suggest, is be way more patient in your mediums, or any class at that. As you can see, I have recreated the exact lineup we just had in Strat Sketch, and I'm going to show you what the enemy team just did so poorly at. Now, pretty much all of you probably saw that the T-92 completely messed up straight at the beginning of the match by just running his tank down center line. I have no clue why you do that, especially when our team did have some beefy mediums. A 1-2-1 and a Progetto are two tanks you do not want to mess with, and that T-92 just blew right through the middle and was taken out within the first minute of the match, so they were already down a tank as soon as the game started. As well, you have the Conqueror, who literally just, I'm not sure what he tried to do, maybe tried to flank me, get the surprise on me, but I noticed him before he was even outside of his position, so I was able to tap 3 shells in him, get in the safety, and pretty much full health Conqueror was taken out within the first 2 minutes of the match and did about 400 damage in total. So the enemy team lost 2 really good tanks with extremely strong guns right in the first 2 minutes of the match that they really shouldn't have lost if they had played correctly. That Conqueror should not have focused me, should have helped out his heavies. And it was sort of just a really bad chain of events for the enemy team. The T-62A did a very good job of holding. I actually give the 62A really good credit on the enemy team, but the E-50, you remember, he pushed right over the rails to go after my 1-2-1. I was able to tap 3 shells into him, which is about 1100 hit points off the E-50. No clue why you would do that. There were just really bad decisions on the enemy team that, even though the 62A was a really good medium player, was just not able to counter. So as you can see, I have sort of created what I felt would have been a really good lineup for both teams. And if you noticed, I have not changed anything for both lineups on my team side, because my team did one of the best jobs I've ever seen working together. All the heavy tanks stayed perfectly together in unison, actually did an excellent job taking out all of the enemy heavies, the IS-4 and the WZ-111 1-4. And my mediums did a really good job taking out the other mediums. I helped out the 1-2-1, the Conway helped out. It was just a great effort for our team, and the enemy team just did not work together at all. First of all, I didn't even know where the Conway was for about 90% of the match until he randomly got spotted pushing out on me. So I think the Conway, if he'd gone into the parallel spot where I go in the Progetto, that would have been really effective. First of all, the Conway can get shots at that 1-2-1, can get shots at the Conway on our team, and as well can get shots into me. So that's stopping me from being aggressive, that's stopping the 1-2-1 from pushing up, and it's also stopping our Conway from pulling out too far. So one tank just pushing into that simple position really changes the entire battle, and that's why I really suggest a lot of people go there. Now, of course, running a 183 there, yeah, I wouldn't suggest that, or a Jagdpanzer, but running the faster type of tank destroyer or medium tank really does work well there. You can see also I fixed where the Conqueror went. Instead of going all the way around to flank, I put him right up next to his heavies, so that way it's as fair as possible. 3 heavies versus 3 heavies, and with the Foch, I think the enemy team could have actually really easily prevailed over here on the medium side, because that T-92 could have easily pushed into the spot here, and with that little bit of rocks covering him, could have easily lobbed missiles over the ledge, shot them into me, could have lobbed missiles over and hit the 1-2-1 or the Conway. I think the T-92 could have done really well there if he'd sat there. The E-50 should not have pushed aggressive over the rails, could have just stayed still, maybe flexed into a position to help out the Conway, came up behind me. There's a lot of things I think the enemy team could have done that would have made him a lot better. But this is actually a really good example of multiple spots that work out very well for the team. Now, one thing I will say as positions is never ever run in heavy side. If you're running any heavy tank, never push them down the farthest lane to the bridge, because the issue is that, first of all, these mediums can easily get shots across on you. As well, these guys, they're getting shots across on you, and that's something you don't want to do. As well, you are spotted by them even if they're not shooting at you, And then you've got people shooting across here, and there's many alleyways, so never go here in the heavy side. I personally like to go in this lane here because it provides a lot of cover, and as well sometimes I'll push down into the dip here. I never ever push around, and the reason for that being is when you're crossing here, if the enemy team had have played smart, they could have easily, the IS-4, the Conqueror, and the 111 could have easily shot my team as they were crossing here, taking off at least 1100 to 1500 hit points, and then when they pull out here, they're pulling out sideways, so their trap wheels are exposed. I normally do not suggest to push your tanks to this building area, unless you are Supremacy, because then you can cap the bases, but honestly, it doesn't really work out too well. So I would always suggest to push your heavy tanks sort of towards the middle area of town. That's usually where it works at best, or just around the edge of the perimeter. But overall, our team actually did a very nice job on teamwork, and the enemy team just had no coordination at all. They split up, and as you saw, that is a recipe for disaster. So I hope you guys did actually learn something from this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, as always. If you didn't learn anything, well, I'm sorry that you didn't learn anything from this video. But of course, make sure to hit that like button down below if you did like this video. If you didn't like it, well, hit that down vote button. Let me know what I did wrong, if I missed anything out on this map. But other than that, guys, I hope you are all doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy out there, and I'll see you in the next one.